Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Wanted to talk today about what I would just say. It really is a concept. Is compared to what? Okay, and so sometimes when we have been living a certain way, really just habits. All right, really our collection of our results. Right, our health, our relationships, our weight, our energy. It doesn't really matter. Our mood, our success. I don't love that word all the time. Whatever you want to call that. A lot of times the way we measure that, or the way we think we measure that, is by comparing it to something. Okay, so for example, and this is going to be a little bit of a, I mean, not a philosophical. Because I'm going to give you some practical things to do in here, but one thing that came to mind recently, I was just thinking about, is especially when people are following more of a keto-based diet, so they're trying to get rid of sugars, so then which is or carbohydrates, right? And so then oftentimes what you'll find is people are replacing that with artificial sweeteners. Okay, your aspartames, your Splendas, your NutraSweets, things like that. Now, it's so in that instance, say if sugar's bad, then that must be better, right? Or you'll see it happen with maybe we're going to have salad dressing. So you're eating a salad, except in that salad dressing is a bunch of hydrogenated oils, seed oils, canola oil, that type of stuff. And so it's not that you're dumb, right? Like I know I can see how this happens. It still happens to me sometimes, right? Where I think I got a good product, I even looked at it, and I don't know. It just sometimes it falls through the cracks, and so what happens is we're trying to do the right thing, right? Like we genuinely, right? We want to get healthier, and but a lot of times what's happened is we've built so many just kind of habits, poor habits into our life. And I'm talking a little bit deeper than just like, the typical, like, I've got a bad habit, I smoke cigarettes. Usually a lot of these ones that really affect us, they're more insidious. They just slip into our life, right? One of the things I do sometimes with patients is I have them fill out a 3-day food diary. And when they fill out a 3-day food diary, almost without fail, they'll say, I didn't realize, and then they fill in the blank. I didn't realize I ate this as often as I do. I didn't realize how much I snacked on junk food. I didn't realize how many, sodas I drank, or how much, whatever it is. Okay. And so that it is worth doing a little bit of an audit on your life as just an exercise. Okay. But so what happens is we'll say, okay, but I'm doing better, I'm in this challenge, right? So compared to blank, I'm doing fine. Well, again, we're a faith-based program, and so our comparison is not the rest of the world. That's not how we compare ourselves. That's not how we're getting our sense of value. That's not where we're. It's not how we're doing this. That's where self-righteousness comes from. That's where comparison comes from. That's where guilt and shame, and we're often just manipulated, and the powers that be. And that's why I think oftentimes it doesn't work. It just fails because we can't withstand the onslaught of that much pressure. Okay. And so what I try to do, and what I would encourage us to do today, is kind of start from the foundation of what do our bodies need to function well, right? What kind of, and you can overanalyze this. So I'm thinking more basic, right? We need rest. We need water. We need some sustenance, right? And we need those things to be as close as we can to you know, as clean, or as close to how God designed them as possible, right? I think about sleep, when you're a little kid, or when you have little kids, right? And they fall asleep in the car after a long day, and you carry them inside, and, you can put their pajamas on them. They don't even wake up, they just wake up in the morning, 10 hours later, no idea how they even got there. That's just good old fashioned sleep. And then as we get older, right? I mean, I think about how many people I know that really struggle with sleep. I struggle with sleep at times. I sleep so much better in this, doing keto. My body just functions better, exercising more. It just makes me, sleep better, right? And so if you don't, so those are signals in your life. Now, when you don't sleep good, that doesn't mean that you need 18 sleep supplements. This is where we miss it sometimes, okay? And this is why I'm so passionate, if you, whatever the word is, about teaching on this. And just really, it's not even teaching. I'm not even that smart. It's just reminding us the basics. All right. Now that sometimes seems amazing because, but the basics are, that's why the best football teams in history, right? It's the teams that stick to the basics. I haven't watched a college football game in a long time. I don't really participate in it. But a friend of mine who's a big Nebraska fan said this game was on, so I kind of was in and out watching it a little bit yesterday. And one of the teams, I just was noticing it seemed like they really were undisciplined. There was one team, the other team just was consistent and did their plays, right? And the other one, they were just undisciplined. They were committing fouls, or getting penalties, and then they were getting mad, and then they were complaining, and then, you could just see it. Now they have some great players, right? They have some individual all-stars, but it was just, they weren't consistent, right? And that other consistent team, right? It's almost the old rabbit and the tortoise and the hare, right? Like, just that, to some degree, this is true. There's this slow and steadiness. Now, by nature, for me, I'm not that way. I'm more of a, I'm busy. I like to be doing 10 things at once, or thinking I'm doing 10 things at once. And I like to, so I struggle with this sometimes. I struggle with consistency. I have areas in my life that I'm consistent in about certain things, and then I have areas that I'm not, which is interesting sometimes, right? I'm very consistent about my office and my patience. I'm very consistent with my time with the Lord. I'm very consistent about certain things like that, okay? And we'll be consistent with things that we value. And so what I want us to think about is, from when I said we're going to go back to the foundation, are you getting good rest? You say, well, no, I can't sleep good. Here, and I'm just going to throw some examples out there. Okay, so I don't sleep good. Well, are you, on technology a lot before bed? That blue light can keep activating your brain. It's harder to fall asleep. Do you sleep in a cool room? Do you have a good, honestly, yeah, right. Do you have a decent bed? Do you have decent, that you can lay on? I meet some people. Matter of fact, it just happened to me not too long ago, when I was staying in a hotel or a Airbnb, right? And it was a tough bed for me. And so, you wake up feeling like you got hit by a truck. But it was just a rough bed, right? So there's sometimes where, it is worth reflecting on and what's going on there. Now, sometimes you just hurt so much because you're so full of inflammation, because you're living on sugar, because you're living on junk food, right? And but see, sometimes we don't realize it because we're like, well, no, I've been living on junk food my whole life and I didn't always feel like this. Well, the answer is kind of in the question, or you're answering your own question there, which is, yeah, because you've been doing this your whole life. Eventually, it's like the dam breaks, right? Eventually, you outdo what the body can kind of keep up from, and then you start to feel it, and it's this slow fade sometimes, and then you just wake up going, man, my legs hurt, my knees hurt, I just can't, get down on the floor anymore, or whatever the scenario is for you. I'm tired. Okay, so that's kind of a sleep example. And then you might look at movement. You might look at your life and say, am I getting any regular exercise in, right? Maybe your job allows for that. Maybe, I'm very physical in my job. My job requires me to move a lot and, be physical. Some people's jobs don't. They sit at a desk all day, right? So you're asking yourself, am I getting regular motion, right? I've seen different studies on how sedentary we are. It's crazy, right? So we're sleeping like junk, we're not moving our bodies, and then we're feeding our bodies junk food. Like, what would you expect? Like, this is what I mean. Like, we have to kind of get back to the basics. Like, so, like, compared to what? And then you can't just throw a few vitamins on top of that and go, oh, I bet that will do it, right? Or what's the biohack? They said I should take, 3 tablespoons of cinnamon for my diabetes. No, you should stop slamming down 6 Mountain Dews, cakes, creams, cookies, and whatever. I'm kind of being funny here, but this is kind of how we do this, okay? And it can take time, all right? It can take time. You got to stop, I now in my life, I've seen a lot of people with texting thumb or whatever, right? Where they're getting, tendonitis and de Quervain's disease, and they're getting arthritis and degeneration in their thumb joint right here, okay? And it's from texting all the time, okay? Or video gaming, right? And those types of things, or these kids are getting, a lot of neck problems and headaches and things because of their posture, right? And it's like, what do I do for this, right? Like as if I'm going to just adjust it and then they're just going to be able to go on, keep doing it. Like, some of the wisdom of God is helping us to understand, right? The wisdom of God is helping us to understand that the things that we're doing is what's causing the problems. It's interfering, right? God designed us to heal. We're messing it up, we're interfering. All right, but we again, we've kind of like gone down this road of like, but I don't want to have to change. It's not fair, right? It's like all I can tell you is get over that, right? So I use this idea, this compared to what. So some people might say, you know, it's crazy that I don't take medications, all right, or it's crazy that I don't take vaccines, or whatever it is. And I would say, I don't. To me, it's crazy the other way, right? Like I have this body with trillions of cells that does trillions of things a second, that God made it without anything of me doing it, right? And does a really good job. Allows me to see, hear, move. Like it's literally almost it is unexplainable. It's unbelievable. It's completely miraculous. And then I'm gonna just like, I think I'm gonna just abuse that with pills, potions, lotions, drugs, bad attitude, whatever you want to say, and then there's no consequences for that. No, those consequences are the logical, natural progression and expression of me going against it. Okay, and so or you'll just have these people like, well, that's my favorite energy drink, or that's my favorite, I just love whatever, pink cupcakes. I don't care. Like, that's fine. I'm not here to be the lifestyle police. I'm not perfect. But we need to be aware of that thinking, right? So if I am having something that I know is not necessarily good for me, I'm under no illusion that it is. I'm under no illusion that this is fair. I know that, this is going to require my body to do some extra work. It might make me not feel as good. I might wake up in the morning a little down, like that's important. But also but I'm not going to be confused, right? I'm not going to be like, wow, I wonder why I have heartburn. Well, yeah, if you're going to eat junk food and you're going to, whatever, have alcohol and, things that we know cause these kinds of things, like, the answer isn't, what acid reflux drug should I take? The answer is, what do I need to do to keep my body strong and healthy, okay? And remove the interference. One of the biggest principles in chiropractic is remove the interference so the body can heal and function the way that it's designed to. That's the tension. That's the balance. That's the understanding that I want you to have. So, closing thoughts here. When you're looking at your lifestyle, try to make sure you're comparing it to God's design for you and not typical culture, right? Not, it's not normal to live on, fast food every day, right? You may have been raised that way, but that doesn't mean that it's normal. It might be common, right? That's another principle we talk about sometimes. Just because something's common, it doesn't mean it's normal, okay? Car accidents are common, they're not normal, all right? Cancer is common, it's not normal. Heart disease is common, it's not normal. It's not normal, okay? Health is normal. It's what we're supposed to have, all right? And so look at your lifestyle. Ask yourself, what are you comparing that to? So when we talk about eating good, we're talking about moving our body, we talk about getting good sleep, some of the drinking water, some of these basic principles. Don't look at the world. Do not do that. That will confuse you. That will lead to, this isn't fair, and why do I have to? And I try, all these little mental games that will defeat you. Look to the truth of what stewarding your body is, okay? Focus on that. Focus on that, and you will have victory, okay? Because that's the only way, that's the proper way to do it. And then it doesn't mean you'll live forever. It doesn't mean that you will never get sick. It doesn't mean that you won't have bad days. It does mean that you have right thinking. It does mean that you'll have clarity and purpose, and you'll be focusing on the right things that will give you victory long term in whatever's possible for you. Okay, so hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday. Send me some feedback, send me some thoughts as we headed into week 2. Take care, God bless.